Hey guys, how's it going? It's the Crypto Analyst here, and today what I wanted to do is a little bit more of a macro analysis on Bitcoin, because as it's seemingly pushing for a new all-time high, whether that's $30,000, $50,000, or even $100,000, the true answer is that nobody really knows. So what I wanted to make the goal of this video is a total full-on macro technical analysis of Bitcoin that covers both the potential upside and downside. Now, I've already thrown up the fib retracement, and we got some pretty cool technical analysis to come. So if you guys are interested, go and stick around for the video, and do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button, as it does help out the channel a lot. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive on into this as to what the technical analysis has to say about where Bitcoin can go in the future. Now, this could be anywhere from a month from now all the way up to 2 years from now, and I'll kind of be breaking that down as we go along here. So first things first, guys, Bitcoin is currently at $13,200. Now, a couple of hours ago, it did see a pretty hard rejection all the way from around almost $14,000 all the way back down to around $12,600, really depending on what exchange you are looking at, because I know I was looking at this on some exchanges, and on the daily time scale it went all the way down to around 11,600. To other people it only went down to around 12,600. Now, this isn't really a big deal. The point is that it actually saw its first real rejection throughout the entirety of this run. Now, yes, we have had little rejections in here, we have had red candles, but this is one of those ones where it kind of stopped in its track and it retraced nearly $3,000. So a lot of people think that it's about time for Bitcoin to retrace from here, which is very possible, because the way that it's looking right now, if you guys haven't already noticed, it's already going more parabolic than 2017. Now, some of you guys are saying, well, what if this is the top? Then isn't this just less parabolic in that case? Well, in that case, yes, it would be less parabolic than 2017, early 2018. However, for the sake of argument, let's just say that this thing isn't done, because in my opinion, it is not done running yet, even if it does see a retracement, which is why we have the fib retracement here. So, in my personal opinion, guys, Bitcoin could very well be going for a new all-time high here. That is not to say that it will not retrace without this, because we can see just how far away it is from its EMAs. So something that I think is very possible that it does from here is that if this is the time for retracement, if this 14,000 barrier is strong enough to actually send Bitcoin back down until support, then I think one of the very popular areas that we're going to retrace to is either one of the overall fib retracements, which we've already drawn out over here from top to bottom, or it's going to be one of the EMAs, whether that's the 50 EMA or the 200 EMA. That's what I kind of have my bets on as of right now. Now, we can see that the 50 EMA on the daily time scale is all the way back down around $8,700, while the 200 EMA is all the way back down around $6,400. I think the area that I'm looking to the most, if this does have a massive correction, is going to be the golden fib retracement. It's going to be the 618. Looking at this right now, to the downside, if there's going to be a perfect retracement area from top to bottom, it's going to be either the 618 or the 382. Now, the 382 is going to be around $9,700, while the golden fib 618 is going to be around $7,200. Both of these areas would make sense for me, and who knows, maybe you can actually have the EMAs actually crossing to one of these areas around the time it gets there. So again, the golden fib and the silver fibs are going to be the one, really just two of those areas that I am looking for if Bitcoin does want to have a big retracement. Now, it's very capable that Bitcoin can just keep on going from here. Again, yes, it did see rejection, but the large majority of that rejection is already bought up. Now, I know on Coinbase, as soon as it hit rejection from $14,000, it went all the way back down to around $11,600 on a 4-hour time scale, which I can probably just pull up over here. And so we can see that this massive wick over here is almost entirely bought back up. Now, yes, this is a giant wick, but when it's getting bought up like this, this is saying that there's so much buying pressure in here from the bulls that it's a more bullish sign than it really is a bearish sign. And yes, it did have all that selling pressure up there saying that this is going to be resistance, but even more so, the majority of it was bought up, which makes me believe that I'm actually leaning bullish still on Bitcoin. Now, could this have been top? Absolutely. We're going to see here within the next couple of days, but I do believe that Bitcoin has changed its macro trend from this bearish trend over here into a bullish trend moving forward. And I want to go ahead and actually kind of delete some of these guys so that we can just see this chart a little bit more clear. So what I mean by a macro trend is for the last year and a half, year or so, Bitcoin has been in a bear market. Now, with this happening over here, I think it's pretty safe to say that Bitcoin is no longer in a bear market. Again, I say that it doesn't mean it can't retrace, it doesn't mean it can't go down, but the macro trend of Bitcoin is now very, very bullish because of all the higher lows and all the higher highs that it's been going over here. So if we are going to believe that this is a new market cycle, in that it could very well surpass this previous one, there's going to be two levels of resistance over here on Bitcoin. Now, this is where we're going to start getting into the targets on the upside, because with Bitcoin actually moving in over here, I wanted to explain this in depth. So what if I can get the drawing tool over here? What we can see is that Bitcoin right now is around $14,000, which is right around this area. And so what we see is kind of this area of no man's land where there's really no resistance on Bitcoin anywhere in here. Now, the next area of resistance that I'm looking to is around $17,000, being right at this previous top. And this is going to be a hard one, but it's not going to be anything insane. The hardest resistance is already behind Bitcoin, and I don't think that that's something that a lot of people understand, is that yes, it's moving parabolic. Yes, you kind of don't want to FOMO in here, but at the same time, there's no resistance in here for Bitcoin to really be stopped at. Yes, there's going to be psychological barriers like 14,000 and stuff like that. But from a technical standpoint, Bitcoin really only has two major resistance left, and that's going to be the $17,000 range, and of course its previous high just under $20,000. So with Bitcoin moving forward here, the worst of resistance is already behind it. And if this is going to actually just be the start of this new market cycle on Bitcoin, again, we've seen this exact same market cycle on Bitcoin already 3 or 4 times, and I've done this in past videos, but if you zoom in and you just go to the history of Bitcoin, you can see these exact same parabolic market cycles over and over and over again. And so if this truly is the start, this is a much stronger start than the one in 2017, and it would make me believe that this would actually break all-time highs pushing on Bitcoin. And so the real question is, if it can actually break to new all-time highs, just how high can it go this time? Because now you have Walmart getting involved with blockchain. Of course, you have Facebook getting in. You have JP Morgan. You have a lot of these big people that are starting to institutionally push money into cryptocurrency, into Bitcoin, into the ones that they've created or the ones that they're a part of. And so this time around, can it be different? And I think the answer to that is actually going to be yes, because as we see this, if this is going to play, again, if this is going to be the new parabolic market cycle, I've been a part of cryptocurrency since 2011. I've seen 3 or 4 of these guys. They all look the very much same. This one looking extremely strong. So if this truly is just the start, Bitcoin could very well push to $30,000, maybe even $50,000 around this time. And it's a very possibility, and I don't want to go too moon boy here, but there is a possibility that it breaks the $50,000 barrier and goes even higher than that. Now, that would be substantial, and a lot of people would be very, very happy with that. But there is a lot of potential here, and there's really only one thing, in my opinion, hindering Bitcoin from going to, say, the $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 level, and that is the technology. Now, we do know that the Lightning Network is, getting implemented ever more every day. But as Bitcoin stands right now, and as it stood about a couple of years ago, it was not able to handle the amount of people that would take it to get to $50,000 or so. With its current technology, it can certainly hit $30,000 with the way that the Lightning Network and the technology has been increased. The real question is, can it handle around $50,000? Because if Bitcoin can get to $50,000, that would mean that the amount of people that are using it for transactions and use cases and trading it, it would put a lot of stress on its blockchain. We've seen it have trouble before. Again, when Bitcoin was reaching almost $20,000 towards the end of 2017, it was nearly running at maximum capacity. And it's not really something that you could argue. You could look at it open source and see it. Now, again, that has been expanded. It's a lot better now. Again, we're nearly 2 years later here, about a year and a half later. So it can definitely handle a lot more. The biggest part moving forward for me, I don't want to talk too much about this because a lot of people just don't care about it, to be quite frank, but it's going to be the technology hindering it. So I think that Bitcoin can hit up to $50,000. Moving forward towards that $100,000 range is where I think Bitcoin's going to start having trouble with capacity issues. So moving over here, I guess we can go ahead and talk about this gray area on Bitcoin and kind of wrap this up. But the way that this is moving over here, this looks like a very clear rounding bottom, and I want to cover everything in this video because I see people still talking about Bitcoin going to $1,000, and that people are still bearish on Bitcoin. Okay, when it's up here, you can be a little bit bearish just because it's time for a correction, or it should be time for a correction soon. And so, in my personal belief, sometime in between now and $17,000, there's going to be a correction on Bitcoin. So maybe that's what we saw today. Maybe that was the $3,000 rejection from 14K, and that was just all we're going to get, and that was our buying opportunity to anyone that wanted to buy in or get longs in or anything like that. Maybe that was it, but I think that there is time for a larger correction somewhere in between 14,000 or anywhere from where we're at right now all the way up to $17,000. If a correction doesn't happen in there, we break the $17,000 range. I think Bitcoin's going right for this, previous all-time high of around $19,900. That would be a sight to see. This is going to be extremely heavy resistance, so just be careful on that. If it is able to just break through all of this in one fell swoop and just keep going parabolic like this, it is going to be an extremely bullish thing. If Bitcoin could have gone completely parabolic through every form of resistance, the hardest resistance that it has ever seen in its history, if it's able to just go in one fell swoop through all of that, it is an extremely bullish thing. You don't see this happen often, so if that is going to happen, it would be phenomenal. The way that Bitcoin's looking right now, it's very strong. We talked about these golden crosses happening on the 4-hour, on the 1-day, even on the 3-day now. I mean, there is not a lot of bearish territory left in Bitcoin. Again, not to say that it can't retrace, but it is looking phenomenally bullish right now. Again, I urge you guys, go onto a daily chart, zoom this thing in on a chart somewhere, and look at the past parabolic market cycles of Bitcoin. They look identical to this one. And so with this one starting out so strong, I do believe that Bitcoin could very well hit new all-time highs here, probably within the next year or two. So on a larger scale, yes, I do believe that Bitcoin's going for all-time highs. My target would probably be at least $50,000 on Bitcoin. I think that it's capable, in my personal opinion. I think that it's very possible and capable that it can run that amount of people and that amount of stress on its servers. So that is going to be my target. A lot of you guys are going to think that that's conservative. I do like to give a little bit more of a conservative estimate. But yeah, Bitcoin's looking great right now. And from a macro analysis point, I think we covered just about everything here. I mean, you can see, just looking at it, just doing a side-by-side comparison of this previous bull market and this previous parabolic market cycle, you can see that there were dip buys over here and that there were pullbacks and continued in this upwards trend. And that's not something that we've really seen over here. Yes, we saw this one little pullback around this $8,000 to $7,000 range, but that was about it. And so is it time over here just for this, maybe this dip before it continues back upwards over here? Time will tell, but this is my overall macro analysis on Bitcoin and the way that I'm handling it. So what I want to actually do over here is wait for some sort of pullback. Again, none of this is legal, financial, or tax advice in any way, but what I want to do here is wait for some sort of pullback, some sort of retracement, maybe to a fib, maybe to an EMA, maybe to a moving average, whatever that is. I am waiting for some sort of a retracement to add to my Bitcoin, to buy more, and to actually get into some low leverage longs. And that's the main thing that I'm waiting for more so than everything else, is that I'm waiting for a decent retracement just so I can get some low leverage longs in here. And when I say low leverage, I mean either 5x or under. That's what I'm aiming for here. I'm not aiming for 50x, 25x, not even 10x here, because this thing, it could get pretty volatile while it's moving back downward. So I'm not trying to catch the knife at the exact spot. I'm just betting that this is going to go above this $14,000 point. So if I do see a good retracement anywhere back, probably around $9,000, maybe it never gets back down there. But if I do see a good retracement anywhere in here to a fib, I'm going to be starting to layer some low leverage longs in here so that one, I'm not going to be getting stopped out if it moves $1,000, $2,000 in the wrong direction. But two, because if it is actually going to go up past this $14,000, say it does break this and go to $30,000 or even $50,000, I want to be able to have a leverage long in here, because what that does is it increases the amount of Bitcoin that it earned by that amount of leverage. So if I was betting one Bitcoin at 3x leverage, I would get essentially 3 times as much Bitcoin in return. And so that's the whole point of a leverage position in here. So yes, it is a little bit more risky. That's why it's going to be low leverage. That's why I'm waiting for a fib retracement. I am going to have stop losses in place, of course. But the macro, again, I want to talk about the macro here. The macro is looking absolutely phenomenal in Bitcoin. Looks very strong. moving averages are pointing straight up, and the volume, let me just talk about the volume for a sec before this ends. The volume on Bitcoin hit almost historic levels, the highest level of volume since we've seen since the beginning of 2018 and the end of 2017. And so when people are saying that the volume is falling off here, on a daily time scale, guys, the volume's not falling off. Yes, it was a little bit over here when it saw a retracement, but ever since probably middle of June, the volume has just been climbing over here. I mean, you can see that very, very clearly down here. This level has been climbing since about June, since about June 10th. So for the most part, I mean, this guy's going up, and for a record level of volume today on Bitcoin, it's just great to see it. So I can't be too bearish about this. Yes, I do think that it's very possible that a retracement happens sometime, but the macro of this is phenomenal. So hopefully this video was able to help you guys. Again, none of this is financial advice in any way, just simply my own approach and technical analysis to this whole situation from a macro scale. So if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure you guys share it with a friend, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I want to know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Where is Bitcoin going to go from here? Can it reach new all-time highs, or is this near the top? Let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear with you guys, interact with you guys, and I will see you guys in the next video.